candy.
Welcome into that episode of NFL Live. Cheese Focus NFL Live. Cheese Focus Live. Got to get the name right. Only been doing this for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
Another episode of Cheese Focus Live. We got a full show. First lost show that we have to do since last Christmas, so that's a little unfortunate. But I think I have some theories as to why Kansas City lost. I know JP has his own theories, so we're gonna go back and forth on that. Really, just an overall game recap. I know the name of the show is, the loss could be a winning lesson, and I think that's true in a lot of different areas. We'll wait to talk about the Chiefs Sunday game against the Panthers on Thursday. But with that being said, and now a guy who really just wants to blame everything on the offensive line is the old man himself, JP. We don't even have to talk about. That's it. I just know that that's where you're going first, so we can go ahead and start there.
I'm not. I mean, look, was it a problem? Yeah. I mean, it was a problem. It's been a problem for a while. Taylor's not good. Wanye Morris, we kind of expected this out of Wanye Morris. He's not a $20 million a year guy.
No.
So I didn't expect him to be horrible, but I didn't expect him to be the best either. Look, man, it is what it is. All I'm going to say about the offensive line is if they don't get something fixed, this is going to end our season early. So they have to get it fixed. It's that simple. That's not the reason why we lost the game, though. Not the only reason at all. I mean, the Chiefs, they've proven time and time again, when they're under the gun, they will score. They will figure out a way of winning the game. Andy played an extremely vanilla offense. The defense, I think, got tired. I mean, they held them to 16 points through 3 quarters, and then they got tired. It is what it is. You can't expect those guys to go out there and spend that much time on the field and not get exhausted. So there's a lot of different things. That loss doesn't really bother me. It is what it is. We've lost we're 4-1 against Buffalo in the regular season, and they're 0-3 against us in the playoffs. So I'm not real concerned.
Yeah. I mean, when we did our show prediction, I mean, I told you that I had weird feelings about this game.
I know. You brought it on. You're the reason why we lost, by the way.
Okay,
I just want to let you know.
Sure.
I'm going to blame you, and that's just the way it is.
Okay. But yeah, I had weird feelings about this game. I think that there are a lot of reasons why. I don't know if we want to start on the offense. I don't think that my primary concern is not with the offensive line. I think the biggest thing is that Kansas City lacks man beaters as weapons. D-Hop is not a man beater. Travis Kelce is not a man beater. Like, the only guy that they have that is a man beater is Xavier Worthy. And I think while Xavier Worthy really showed his talent, once again, when Xavier Worthy was really proven, what's up, Will? When Xavier Worthy was given the opportunities early in the game on the first 2 drives, when he was given the ball a lot, I mean, that first drive was Xavier Worthy's drive. He was really effective. And then late in the game, we saw another pass that should have been a touchdown that I think that both Xavier Worthy should have made that a catch. Patrick Mahomes could have thrown a better ball, but while both of them are at fault, that should have been a catch. And that was a game flipping play that did not happen. It was a field flipping play that did not happen in Kansas City, that put them in field goal range. So maybe they're not scoring a touchdown on that drive, but they're probably getting points off that drive. And, when the game came down to as close as it was, that potential 3 points makes a difference. So that's my first thing. Once again, I feel like I'm back here talking about the problems that Kansas City has with its skill position players and why, this was the first game that I really felt like, man, the injuries are really starting to hurt this team.
Okay, but here's the thing. Mahomes threw a really good pass. Any other wide receiver that had any experience would have gotten their feet down.
Yeah.
That's just a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
He'll get better at that. He's gotten better every week. We got to give him credit for that. He really has. My problem with that whole offensive scheme throughout the game was the fact that they didn't really utilize their other skill players until it was almost too late. The Noah Grays, Justin Watson. You got to get those guys more involved. You need more of a spread offense. Part of that problem is that Pat's under a lot of pressure. So it's really difficult to spread the ball out when you can't read all five guys or all six guys or whoever you have out there. You don't have time to read all those guys. So when you don't have time to do it, you're going to make mistakes.
I told you we come back right back to the offensive line.
Well, it's true. I mean, everything starts at the line. It
I
just
know.
and
It's
look,
just that they're actually allowing, like, the Chiefs offensive line is top 10 in pressure rate. Like,
yeah, but that's
Pat,
the interior. That
I
has nothing to
know,
do with
I
the
know,
edges.
I know, but still, I mean, as an offensive line, they're still, doing a great job as a whole, as a team. They're still doing a very good job protecting him. And don't get me wrong, like, the Chiefs tackles struggled, and the Chiefs tackles have struggled. It's not just Wanye Morris. It's both tackles have caused problems for this team.
Yeah,
And Suamataia, look, he was a healthy scratch on Sunday.
yeah,
That's a problem. That's a big problem.
it
And I
is.
think for so long, even last year, like, this offensive line was such a strength for this team, and that it almost felt like a superpower where, it's not, once again, last year, the tackles weren't great, right? But you felt
Donovan
good.
Smith was 10 times better though.
Donovan Smith was solid, right? He wasn't going to be able to beat, you know, the best pass rushers but he was a guy that you could count on. He could be like, he's not going to give up 3 sacks or a ton of pressures to some nobody, right?
No.
He would lose, but that's the NFL, because the guy you're facing is an elite athlete too. We'll get to that, Philip. We'll
Yeah,
get
we're
to that.
definitely going to get to that too. That
Um,
was pretty crazy.
it's it's the fact that Buffalo was able to get pressure without blitzing. And that was a huge problem,
Yeah,
because they were able to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes without sending an extra guy.
yeah.
And that really puts, when you're playing, man coverage with extra help on the back end, man, that it's difficult to be able to get the ball off when Kansas City does not have an elite weapon.
I agree, but I still think that we didn't have really, other than Rasheed Rice and really Travis Kelsey last year, we didn't have any elite weapons. And really, Rasheed Rice wasn't considered an elite weapon last year. They were more efficient than they are now. I don't know if it's, I can't put it all off on the wide receivers because they're not getting their opportunities either. I mean, you looked at Worthy. Okay, here's a great example of that. There was a minimum, and I know I counted four, but I'm just going to go with three right now. Three different instances where Worthy was completely wide open, standing in the field with his arms in the air, saying, "Please throw me the ball." And Pat went the complete opposite direction because he was rushed. He was pressured so much. Now, we know Pat's not moving the way he should be. That was proof in that game. He wasn't moving around the right way. He didn't scramble as much as he did. He didn't make the cuts. He didn't roll out as much as normal. He got caught so many times because he's just not moving as well. But in that same aspect, when you have a half a second to a second before you're collapsed on, it's kind of hard to make good decisions. Uh, Kelsey was double and triple teamed all night long, like he always is, but he couldn't get out of him because, like you said, they're bringing four and getting to Pat. When you can rush four the way they did and get to Pat, you got everybody else out in the field.
Yeah.
Everybody else is out there. And they knew that, though, Quentin. They knew. They studied the film probably from week 1 to week 9, and they went, oh, shit. We really don't have to bring a blitz. Why would we have to blitz when all we got to do is just go after their tackles? That's an easy thing. We're not going to get anywhere on the interior.
And
So let's
Rashul,
just go after these tackles.
yeah, and Rashul Douglas and Christian Benford, their number 1 and number 2 corner, are very good. Like, that
Absolutely, they
that
are.
Bills defense has just a lot of really good on it, and we saw that that look, Buffalo, what they seem to do is they prioritize getting rid of the short game,
Yeah.
right? That's what they were able to do. There were not a lot of easy passes for Patrick Mahomes to complete, right? a lot of the scheme stuff wasn't effective, and Kansas City wasn't able to get open. And I think it's just the fact that, if you look at all the other best teams in the NFL, right, whatever list that you want to go through, it seems like everybody else has an elite weapon on their team, and Kansas City doesn't. And I know some people are going to freak out. Travis Kelce is elite against zone coverage, and when he's on, he's on. Travis Kelce does not have the explosiveness that he used to get away from quality man coverage, right? It's not there. That's fine. He's also like 34 years old, okay?
He's 35
like,
years old.
It's okay. We can have a serious conversation about that. I'm not saying he's washed. I'm not JP, right? I'm not calling him out, all right? But when you're able to play man coverage, have the extra help with the safeties shifting to whatever side, right? And then also be effective in getting to Patrick Mahomes with 4, or at least, making him feel uncomfortable. Maybe you're not getting past the tackle, but, you're forcing him to have happy feet. You're forcing him to shift in the pocket, and you're making him have errant throws. It's practically the same thing. So it's a problem. There are problems with this team, and we really started to see it last week against the Broncos. We didn't talk about it a ton because Kansas City ended up winning. They blocked the field goal. There were other things to talk about, but I did bring this up against the Broncos, right? I said that Kansas City struggled against man coverage against the Broncos, and we saw that. Buffalo watched the Broncos game, and they took a lot of that stuff and they used it against Kansas City again. And moving forward, if we face defenses that play well man coverage and have some competency in getting pressure with 4 guys, this offense is going to be in more trouble.
Well, I'll tell you this. Our guys would be a lot better against man if Mahomes had some time. Those guys, if you look at all the good teams out there, their quarterback has enough time to be able to it allows their wide receivers, tight ends, to go and find an open spot, break themselves free. Our guys don't have that kind of time because Mahomes has to release the ball. He doesn't have a choice. It all starts up front. No difference in the defense. It just is what it is. It starts up front. And when it collapses there, those guys don't have the time. You got one guy on the team right now that is extremely fast. Everybody else is, they're okay, but they're not crazy quick. So if you're going to rely on Worthy, then you better start targeting him when he's wide open. And I know Pat couldn't do that. I'm not blaming Pat because it's really not his fault. If he doesn't have enough time to even scan the field, what good is it? I mean, you're not going to get a decent play out of it. Just kind of what we've seen. But also, Andy has an ignorant amount of plays that he didn't even think about. Believe me, he didn't even think about putting them on the field. Mahomes has an extreme trust issue with the offensive line. Andy knows that. Why would he show anything other than a vanilla offense when Pat is not going to be able to utilize it anyway right now? Kind of that simple. We have to get this figured out. Another problem that I noticed on the defensive side of the ball, we really got to get some help on the cornerback. In the cornerback room.
Hold on, I want to finish talking about the offense first.
Go ahead.
I wanted to go over the snap counts real quick, and I know this is not the most interesting conversation, but just follow me here.
It leads to something, though.
The number one snap count for the wide receiver position on Sunday was Xavier Worthy, who played 32 snaps, 58%. Number 2 was Justin Watson, who played 1 less snap. He played 31 snaps at 56. That's a problem. Yeah. Because the third one is DeAndre Hopkins, who played 47% of the snaps. That's a problem. And I've heard the excuses. I've seen the excuses on the interwebs that DeAndre Hopkins didn't play because he's still getting used to the offense. I've now seen the conspiracy theory that Kansas City is withholding his snaps so that 5th round pick doesn't turn into a 4th round pick. That's a problem because DeAndre Hopkins is the most qualified receiver. I don't think he's the most talented receiver because the word talented, you could say, well, it's Worthy. So I don't want to get in that conversation. DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver that they have, and the fact that he wasn't on the fact that he wasn't on the field for not even half the snaps, that's a problem for me, because he should be, I mean, he should be like a 60, 75, 80% guy. Like,
I agree. I
I don't
agree.
understand. Travis Kelsey's out there, for 80% of the snaps.
Here's the thing.
Hell, Noah Gray's out there for 76% of the snaps.
I know. I don't believe for 1 second that that conspiracy bullshit that you're hearing from all the wackadoos on X that they're holding back so it doesn't turn into a 4th-round pick. I don't believe that a bit. We have 2 4th-round picks. They're not going to hold back to lose. They're not going to do that. I don't think that's it at all. They will hold back not to show all their cards, but they're not going to hold back for a fucking draft pick, especially a draft pick that's really not that far off. If you really look at the difference between that 5th and that 4th, it might as well be a 5th to some degree. I don't believe that at all. I think that Andy plays this smart every year, and every year everybody gets pissed. When he has these issues, similar to what he had last year with the 41 drops that went on throughout the season, he figures out a way of getting through it. He doesn't want to show all of his cards because he uses those cards in the playoffs. Somebody said, well, no, it looks exactly the same in the playoffs as it does in the regular season. No, it doesn't. If you actually understood football, you would understood what you're watching, you'll see that it's a totally different scheme. Andy has different plays that he uses in the playoffs, depending on what game it is in the playoffs and where he's playing will dictate when you see those plays. But everything is different for them. Patrick's different. Kelsey's different. He gets open more. They run different schemes and different packages in the offense to allow these guys to get open in the playoffs that you really don't see a whole lot of in the regular season. As long as he can squeak by a win, he's okay with that. But
Yeah,
we have glaring issues. I mean, we do. There's no doubt about it, and it starts up front.
Yeah, I do. And I think that this offense is going to get some reinforcements back when Pacheco comes back.
Yeah.
I know that, and when Pacheco comes back and you're able to split the snap counts. Look, Kareem Hunt has been great. I don't want to take anything away from him because he has been phenomenal. And I'll say it. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to say it every week. He's blown past my expectations from way more than what I thought he was going to be capable of. So I've got no problem with Kareem Hunt.
Well, you might as well go ahead and say I was right because I told you this.
Yeah, you were totally correct about him. The thing is we also have to be honest about it. And Kareem Hunt's not explosive, right? There are some of these runs that if Pacheco had the ball, I feel Pacheco would get bigger yards than what Kareem Hunt. And it's just because he's not look, the age difference is there. There's more wear on the tires for Kareem Hunt. Like, that's okay. Like, it's fine. I don't think that this isn't breaking news for anybody. But so when Pacheco comes back and we're able to see some more explosive runs and we're not having to grind out, 4 yards a carry. The problem is that, and we saw this in this game, is that if you're facing a quality defense and you get behind schedule, this team doesn't have the ability to consistently get out of 3rd and long situations. And what did we see?
You do realize they're the number 1 team in the league, right? In 3rd down situations.
Yeah, but that's because Kansas City, their conversion rate is phenomenal. That's because they're consistently getting 3rd and short. Consistent.
Yeah, but if you listen to if you look at any stats, even right now, I think they're number 1 anything 3rd and long. They're one of the best teams in the league on 3rd down conversion, whether it's short or long. It's just that, look, Pacheco wasn't doing much better than 4 yards a carry. He really wasn't. This season, before he got injured, he wasn't doing much more than that. It's not a matter of the running back. It's a matter of what the line is able to open up for them. And when you're only going up the middle and you can't get out to the edge and pick up some yards, which has been very difficult for any running back in our system, that creates a problem too. Kareem broke out a 17-yard run against the Buffalo Bills.
He did. But I'm happy you brought this up. The fact that Kareem Hunt they don't have any outside plays, is because he's not explosive enough to get to the outside.
or
He's not a threat to
the
the
outside's not
outside.
opening it up for him.
Right.
He's not
There's
giving him
there's
many
not
holes.
Pacheco, on the other hand, is able to get to the outside. I do think that there is a difference between those two running backs. I do think that Pacheco is more explosive, and some of these 4-yard runs could be 8-yard runs if Pacheco is out there running the ball. I'm
Maybe
not
so.
saying that
Yeah.
Pacheco is, all of a sudden going to turn into, Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, and he's going to look like, the greatest thing ever. But I do think that there is yardage being left on the field. And if Pacheco was out there, I do think that this run game would look even better than what it is right now. And so
Well, and
with
you're also talking about a guy that is putting 20 to 25 yards or 20 25-yard carries every or 20 to 25 carries in every game. And that's a lot.
yeah,
Pacheco didn't do that. I mean, he just didn't because he didn't have to. He didn't Andy didn't put that much pressure on him at the beginning of the season because we had wide receivers were able to open up a little bit. It was not until everybody started to drop when Kareem came back, when Kareem came back, it was like, fuck, we got to run the shit out of him. We don't have a choice. And I think that's a lot of it too, is that he's really, I mean, look, man, the only other guy in the league right now that I think is carrying the ball as much as him is Derrick Henry. I mean, that tells you a lot.
yeah,
So when you got the two oldest fucking running backs in the league right now are carrying the ball more than everybody else in the league. And that's pretty insane to think about. That kind of gives you an indication of two things. One, both teams are struggling in the pass, and are relying on that. And two, maybe the other running backs out there that are younger really aren't as good. Now, you look at Derrick Henry in this last game, he didn't look as explosive. In fact, the last couple of weeks, he really hasn't looked as explosive as he did in the first, from week 2 to week 7. He looked really good. Kareem hasn't really varied from anything. He's still carrying the ball. He's still the best running back in the league that as a pass catcher. There's nobody better than him in the league. I think what you're going to see when Pacheco comes back, they're going to ease him back into it. You're not going to see him just step in and take over. Not going to happen. Anybody that thinks that is, they're crazy.
no, and
I
it's
wouldn't
just
even expect to see him you may see him in a limited role in the Carolina game. But I don't think you're going to see him before that. I just don't. I think it's going to be a limited role in the Carolina game. And when they do get him to full speed, there's going to be a lot of 2 running back sets with Carson Steele as a fullback. We're going to go back to, if we don't have the wide receivers that are able to, and here's another thing too, when you got all 3 of them out there, the offensive line has help, gives Mahomes more time. Even if you have 2 out there and Kareem going out for a pass, it still gives them more time if you got help with Taylor and Wanya Morse, because they need the help. I mean, they had Kelsey lined up. I don't know if you noticed, but in that game, he blocked more than I've seen him block in 5 years. He blocked against the Buffalo Bills. He was in the backfield helping Taylor out on numerous occasions because Mahomes needed it. I don't know, man. It's just different. I don't think I've seen this team. They had a lot of adversity last year just because of drop passes and mistakes and just people being fuckheads. But now you're down to the bare minimum. And that's why they went out and signed a wide receiver, a really fast wide receiver. As a matter of fact, we got the 2 fastest wide receivers in the league right now.
yeah. Is he gonna be your next Justin Ross or
No, but I think he's going to be moved up probably in the next 2 weeks. You're going to see him on the 53. At some point, you're going to see him out there. There's no reason for them to bring him back unless they need him. And you just said it yourself. They don't have explosive players. They don't
yeah?
have people that can get down the field. Well, the only 2 that can really get down the field right now is Worthy and really a tight end by the name of Noah Gray. So if you're going to bring a guy in that's a 4.28 speed, utilize him, because you're sure as hell not bringing in a corner. You haven't brought in a Donovan Smith yet, but you signed a wide receiver that apparently the Pats can't stand because he didn't fit within their system. I mean, it is what it is. They didn't bring him in for no reason.
Yeah, I don't think that that's a signing for this year. I think that that's more of a signing for next year. I don't see them. the conversation around the Chiefs wide receivers is, we've got you need DeAndre Hopkins to get in and figure it out. You brought Juju Smith-Schuster back. I really do like sort of the uses that McCole Hardman's getting. I just don't know if the solution to all this is bringing in yet another guy and trying to get it. I just think you need to get DeAndre Hopkins out there more.
Well, he does need to be out there more. I mean, there's no doubt.
And then when you get Pacheco back, I think a lot of these problems, I don't want to say go away, but I think you can shove it under the rug a little bit. But like shove it under the rug, like when you ask your kid to clean their room and they think they're smarter than you and they put it under the play rug, like you can still see it, but it's just out of sight.
What's that big hump in the middle of the floor?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you see the hump. You know it's there, right? But you can avoid it for a little bit longer. I think that's what it is. If Kansas City, when they get Pacheco back, and I do agree with you that we're going to see more dual usage, which I don't have a problem with. I think I brought it up here before that, Kareem Hunt is better out of the passing game than Pacheco is.
Absolutely
so you make that, you go back to the standard, make Kareem Hunt your third down running back, make him utilize out of the pass game, use him on goal line situations, right? Those sort of things I have no problem with. I just think that we need to start to understand that Kansas City, it just looks like that there are some problems that they're going to have. And it's just unfortunate that there's no real solution moving forward unless you just like, hey, why the hell isn't DeAndre Hopkins out there more?
Well, you know who played a lot in that Sunday game that everybody thought was going to be, well, actually you thought was not going to be utilized during the season? Uche.
He had 5 snaps.
He had more than 5. He had more than 5 snaps. He was out there a lot. Snaps. No way.
I'm looking at the numbers right now.
It's impossible.
I'm looking at the number, and I'm telling you, I'm happy. I wanted to bring this up because I'm actually very disappointed in how the Joshua Uche has been utilized.
Well, he's so fucking fast off the ball. I know
he's been since week 9, right? He's had 9 snaps, 11 snaps, and 5 snaps. He's had 25 snaps since he's been here in Kansas City. So
that's more of a Spagnuolo thing than it is an Andy thing.
But I'm extremely disappointed in the use. He's had the same amount of snaps since he got here. He's had less snaps actually than Malik Herring.
Wow, that's pretty insane. I thought he was out there more. It looked like he was. His name was called. I mean, I heard his name numerous times, but I was so frustrated during the game. I was just like, "What the fuck?"
Well, because when he's out there, you notice him.
Yeah, you do notice him because he's
a different body type. He's very fat. He's very athletic. He's also thin. He almost looks more like a linebacker than a defensive edge guy.
Yeah.
But I'm disappointed with the use of Uche, especially because I do feel like there are a couple of third down situations that Uche would have been like. Josh Allen is the perfect quarterback for Uche to go after.
He really is.
Because he's a quality tackler, but he also can chase him down.
He's got the speed.
He has the speed to be able to chase down a Josh Allen type. So, I think that up to this point, we can now switch to the defensive side. Joshua Uche, he's just been underutilized since he got here. I mean, I know you didn't really give up anything because you gave up a draft pick like 2 years from now. So, I don't have a problem with that part of it, but it's just like you brought him in. Can you use him, please?
Yeah,
like if this can't continue, right? Unless the goal was we're going to bring him in and we're going to sign him to a long-term deal, and that was the plan. This is just poor usage of a guy that you brought in. The first day or the first week you brought him in, it's like, oh, we just brought him in, whatever. Like I get that, but at a certain point, see ball, get ball. You're an edge rusher. Go get him. The scheme is not that different than everywhere else, right? There are certain things that are just universal rules you've been learning since high school, and that it applies with pass rush, right? Yeah. You're on the far end. Hey, stay on the outside, keep containment, go get Josh Allen.
Have you ever watched his
what the hell are we talking about here?
And the crazy thing, not just his speed, he's got phenomenal technique. He's got great hands.
There's a reason why he was a double-digit sack. He was a double-digit sack guy a couple years ago. Like, there's a lot of talent there. And when you've got Karlaftis on one side, you've got Chris Jones in the middle, and I got beef with Chris Jones too, so we can get to that in a minute. But it's just like, 5 snaps, really? That's it? In a game where they were in third and long quite a bit, you used them on 5 snaps? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. One thing I do know is Omenihu is supposed to come back this week, coming up.
Yeah, if you want to talk about getting reinforcements,
Woo.
I think that's going to be big. And I my other thing that I wanted to bring up is that Kansas City just isn't able to get pressure if they don't blitz, which is kind of okay because I mean it's not okay, but with Steve Spagnuolo out there, right? If there was any defense that was a problem, Steve Spagnuolo defense, you're able to work around with it because he is able to generate pressure in other ways. Um, but yeah, up to this point, Felix Anudike Uzama, like his biggest play was the penalty, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Chris Jones, I feel like, hasn't had that game defining play. Last year it was Chris Jones, it felt like every week, right? There was
Well, they
something.
were moving him around a
It
lot more
was
last year than they are this year. Have you
he
noticed
uh
that?
he had a pass he had a pass block, right? Sticking his hand in the air. Maybe
Yeah.
he didn't get a sack, but he got his hands around a guy. Like Chris Jones did something. And I feel like over the last few weeks, we haven't seen a Chris Jones play, right? Where he just bull rushes a guy and he's just able to create chaos and
And
just
the
messes up a
crazy part
play.
about that, Quentin, is that he was singled a lot in this game. If
Yeah,
you go look back,
and
he
there
was
was
singled a lot.
they were playing a backup guard.
Yeah. And he was basically, it was one-on-one with him for, probably a majority of that game, he was one-on-one. If you're going to leave him alone, you're stupid. And he did create some pressure when he was by himself. I'm not going to say he didn't, but man, we got to look at it this way too. The defense has been the focal point of this team all season. Think about how much, it's not even so much as how much they're on the field, but it's how often they're on the field. Because if you don't get a break at some point, and your break is so short that these 3 and outs or an interception puts you right back on the field again, at some point you're going to get gassed. And I noticed that during this Buffalo Bills game, they were gassed by halftime, and it just got worse. They are getting overutilized because the offense is not giving them any break. Whether it's an interception or it's just a 3 and out or whatever the case may be, they're not getting enough time to actually just rest. And I think that's a huge thing when you're going into week 11.
Yeah, especially with the early bye week that they've had. But
Yeah,
Chris Jones hasn't had a sack in nearly 2 months.
I know.
I
I
mean,
know.
it's Chris Jones hasn't had that one play. He hasn't had a tackle for loss. He's had a couple tackle for losses. I can't really say that. But the stick your hand up in the air and block the pass, or I mean, he had a couple of cleanup tackles against the running back, right? But damn near everybody did because this team refuses to let a running back, get past the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just frustrating to see that your stars aren't making star plays. You
And I
know,
think some of that too is just that, they're rotating guys in and out on the defensive line. He doesn't have a ton of help out there. He's got Karlaftis. FAU is not a huge help. I don't know. It just, to me, it seems like they're not really, I don't know. He doesn't get rotated in and out like everybody else does. He's out there for 95% of the game. And a lot of guys are not. They're rotated. And him and Karlaftis are the ones and Karlaftis is
yeah,
23 years old.
Chris
So
Jones
I
had
mean,
85% of the snaps, Karlaftis 86%.
there's my
So,
point.
and
I
then
mean,
everybody else, let's see, the next closest guy is Tershawn Wharton, who has 67. Now, I will say one positive note. Tershawn Wharton has played great this year.
yes, he
As
has.
much as Tershawn Wharton we expect out of him, he had one play. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was Josh Allen threw a little dump off pass to the running back, and it was like 3 yards past the
Yeah.
line of scrimmage. And it's because Tershawn Wharton, when the running back was going straight up the middle of the defense, Tershawn Wharton was engaged in a block, and he stuck his arm out.
Yeah.
And he stuck his arm out and hit the chest of the running back of James
Yeah.
Cook, and he stopped him in his place. And so Josh Allen was looking to throw the dump off pass to Cook, but he wasn't there
Yeah.
because Tershawn Wharton, while engaged in a block, was able to stick his arm out and stop the running back from able. And I wish they would have showed that on replay because it was a great play by Wharton, and there was not a linebacker in sight to stop Cook.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge gain
Well, how
for
many
them.
yards did Cook have, by the way? How many rushing yards did that team have, other than Josh Allen breaking that one long one?
I know that Kansas City still hasn't allowed a 100-yard running back.
No,
So
not at
I
all.
know that that's
I don't think he had more than 40, but I could be wrong.
because he got stuffed a lot.
Yeah. Cook got put on his back a lot. And a lot of them were at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and Kansas City, and I don't know if Buffalo's game plan was to sort of still have some ball control, right? Like just to because I don't think that they were heading into the game thinking that, we're going to run the ball on the Chiefs defense.
Well,
Uh,
hey, but you got to give it up to the Bills, though, because they didn't. A lot of teams, if you watch the Ravens, when they can't run the ball, they just give up on the run. The Bills didn't. They continued to try and try and try. And that was good. I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from the Bills because they were limited in every way they could have really been limited, as far as wide receivers and linemen and everybody else. And they still played a great game. Allen was not going to be denied this game, I don't
yeah.
think.
James
And
Cook ran for 9 carries for 20 yards. If you combine the running backs, they had less than 50 yards.
that's what I thought. I thought it was like 46 yards or something like that. But
49 yards. All
49 yards.
the running backs combined
Yeah.
ran for 49 yards.
And I think Josh Allen had like 33 or something.
55 with 26 on that final carry.
Okay, so there you go then. Well, Phillips said nothing against Najee Johnson, but what happened to Joshua Williams? I think there's something happened in that game because they pulled him and they didn't really put him back out there.
So I kind of have a hot take on this. I don't think Najee Johnson played as bad as everybody thinks he did. I just think that first, like that one pass to Amari Cooper, okay, that was perfect coverage. It was just Amari Cooper and Josh Allen had a perfect play in response. Okay, that one ball that like he caught like with his bad hand, that was like, I don't care. You could be Darrelle Revis and that ball's being caught. Okay, and that was the biggest play.
No, he gave up 108 yards and a touchdown, dude.
Yeah, I just don't think. Well, if you and you can't take that play away, but like there were a couple of plays that it's just like there's nothing you could do about it. There are at least 2 catches that was like that.
Okay, but you noticed that when they put McDuffie against Cooper, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's because McDuffie, you're not throwing to McDuffie's side.
That's my point.
That's
my point.
The problem is that we have this idea of that we had Snead last year, and so I think our brains are confused with how cornerback works in the NFL. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. And when McDuffie is on the other side, every time Amari Cooper is one-on-one with Johnson, you're gonna try that because you're not taking the one-on-one opportunity with Trent McDuffie. So Johnson just looks worse than he actually is because they're gonna throw to his side because you're not throwing to McDuffie.
He's not ready. Look, he is not ready to cover a big-time wide receiver. The times that he's tried, he's been burned. I mean, 3 weeks ago, he was just lost in translation out there, and it was an easy touchdown for I can't remember who we were playing, but I remember the play.
The problem is that if you're playing right, if the play that's called by Spagnuolo is, hey, you're on the right side, McDuffie's on the left side, okay, and then Josh Allen sees the lineup and is like, well, I know Amari Cooper has a one-on-one opportunity if I move him over to this side. Then the defense can't be like, well, let's switch our corners real quick because the ball's going to be hiked and you're going to be screwed.
I understand, but you also
you're now going to have a one-on-one opportunity.
But you have to give him help. That's where that's a safety's job, is to help. You got a spy in the middle, Reed, and you got other safeties out there. Put and I don't know why his name's slipping my mind. He's one of the best safeties we have, and he's every time he seems to
Brian
step
Cook,
on the
Shamari Connor. Who are we talking
no.
about?
Philip, me and you talk about him all the time, and I mean, it's cold and my brain's not working. What the hell is his name? Um, Damn it,
Jaden Hicks.
Jaden Hicks.
Okay. I was like, what other
Jaden
safeties
Hicks
can I
is
think
one
of?
of the better safeties in the league. He can play both safety and corner. They're not utilizing him enough. Connor is a great player, but he had a really hard time tackling in this game. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but he missed like 5 tackles. That could have been one of them would have stopped the first down. Well, 2 of them would have. And he didn't wrap the guy up at all. Hicks is a different story. Hicks is fast. He reads the ball really well, and he will put somebody on their fucking back. They need to utilize him more. He's a great player. That's what a safety is for. They know Najee Johnson is struggling right now and is trying to learn and get his footing. Give him some fucking help. And they're not giving him that. These schemes that they're putting together are more designed for anything over the middle, but they're leaving the side open on man coverage with Najee Johnson. You can't do that. You got to give him some help. Even if it's just to slow the receiver down or throw off his timing, throw off Josh Allen's timing or any other quarterback that we're playing, you've got to be able to do that. And they're not. I mean, they're giving McDuffie more help than they are Najee Johnson when it
It's
comes to
just
the safety.
McDuffie is so good that anytime they get a one-on-one chance, and if the defense is called, and we're sending a blitz, right? We're sending a safety and a linebacker. We're sending extra guys, and the play that's called, you're putting your corners on an island. Your worst corner, when you have an elite guy like Trent McDuffie locking down one side, the quarterback decision is, hey, I'm going to the other side. And so I think he's just looking worse than he is because of the defense that he's in. And it's not a Spagnuolo thing. It's just simply that's what happens when you have an elite corner. The other one just looks worse than he is.
Well, but we didn't have that problem when Snead was here.
Right, because Snead was also a great corner.
Exactly. My problem with this is that there's a great corner sitting out there right now that they could go and get for pennies, and they're not doing it. I know one reason why is because, for God, I hope this happens. But from what I understand, Jalen Watson may be back by the playoffs. If he is, that's phenomenal. But we need help on that side. We have to have it. If they're not going to get another corner, they got to give Najee Johnson help.
Yeah, I think we just disagree on this. I think Najee Johnson is your guy moving forward, and that's just the way that it is in the NFL. Like, you can't, like, you're just not going to have two. Last year was an anomaly. You're not going to have two great corners on your team at the same time.
Jalen Watson's a great corner.
Yes, he is, but he's hurt. So
I know, but if he comes back, that's great.
Well,
but in the same aspect,
that's a different story.
There's a huge if right there. So
I'm not expecting him to come back, just for the record.
Well, I'm not either, but I'm not going to put it past him. I'm just not. And by the way, I was right when I said 5 weeks ago that Hollywood Brown would be back by the 25th of December. Sounds like that's when they're targeting.
Let's hope so, because that would solve some of our explosiveness problems. That's the big thing. We just lack explosiveness.
Well, and we just have these little areas that seem to cost us. And we've been lucky enough throughout the season that
it hasn't cost us a win.
It hasn't, and I know it's like, win, but this time it did.
Let's add some context to this. Maybe we could end the show on a more positive note. It's one fucking loss. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I know, we spent 45 minutes talking about the problems that the Chiefs have, and we've been nitpicking stuff. And
but we knew this was.
We've been acting like the sky is falling. It's not. It's one loss. The Chiefs are fine. So we probably should have started the show with
that.
By the way, we're gonna spend most of the show bitching about the problems that this team has. Also, they have one loss. And we face the Panthers next week. So if we could just take a deep breath. But when you see a loss like this, like the Bills were able to outplay Kansas City in every metric. Like they were able to have better field position. Like their special teams, they were able to have better run backs. Like, credit to the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. This wasn't a gimmick. They're nothing like that. This was, and they outplayed Kansas City.
They weren't going to be denied that. And look, here's the thing. let's put into perspective that this is a team that has been scoring about 35 points a game, and we held them to 16 points since the defense couldn't hold them anymore.
God, can I be honest with you for a second? I'm more upset that the holding opponents to under 28 points. I'm
I
more
know.
upset that that is gone than the actual loss.
But let's give the Bills credit. They knocked two things out of our repertoire right now. Okay? In a regular season game that really is kind of meaningless at this point because we're still a game up on them.
I know, well, and you
But
would have
here's the
been
thing though, they knocked out our win streak of 15 games straight, and they knocked out our defensive points allowed streak. Okay, that's great. What did that do for them in the playoffs? Because they're still 0-3 against us in the playoffs. Let's just be clear about that. They haven't won against us in the playoffs. They've not beat us once. With Josh Allen, they have not beat us.
yeah.
So,
And I don't just mean this like emotionally or anything. That win means more to Buffalo.
oh,
And it's just
absolutely.
because, and just simply the fact that if Kansas City wins that game, they're 4 games above Buffalo.
Lewis Riddick was the
Um,
funniest dude. Did you see what he posted?
no.
It was funny. I love Lewis Riddick. He is just like point blank. He says it the way it is, and that's just it. He flat out said, "Well, Buffalo is now again giving their fans a regular season Super Bowl win against the Kansas City Chiefs," and that is the truth. Because every time Buffalo beats us in the regular season, they're going to beat us in the playoffs. In everybody else's minds, in Buffalo, that's the team that's going to knock us off. Well, until they actually knock us off, I'm not worried about that. Let's talk about two other things real quick before we go. Cincinnati's done.
Oh yeah. I
Mathematically, they still have a slight chance. If they lose one more game, they're out
dude,
of the play.
I killed the Bengals like 6 weeks ago.
Well,
So
I kind of
this
did
is
too.
not
But
news.
here's the thing. It was kind of comical. I know this is going to sound crazy. I actually feel bad for Joe Burrow because think about the year he's had.
Oh yeah. He seriously, if they're a 500 team right now, then I think Joe Burrow is a serious contender for MVP. Because
Absolutely.
his what he's been able to do, it has been great up to this point. It's that his kicker has missed like 4 game winning kicks, and including last night, and then their defense is just awful. Like the Bengals as a team are very bad. Joe
They are.
Burrow is still a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback.
He is. But you know who's actually playing better than him right now? Mentally, emotionally, and physically. I know you're going to hate to hear this. Justin Herbert.
I don't hate
He
that.
he's actually doing. I said this. I've said this. I've said this, and everybody says I'm fucking crazy. He needed a coach. He's got a coach. They are 7-3 right now. 7-3. Think about that. He's never had that record in his career. Never. But he's
Yeah.
never had a
Well,
consistent head
think
coach
about
either.
what think about the head coaches is a big thing.
Their
Um,
offensive coordinator is a big thing.
yeah,
Their defense is a big thing.
that has just been such a cluster. You know what?
Yeah,
Um,
it's been terrible. And look, I that out of the remaining games that we have, they're the ones that make me nervous. They actually are the team that can actually maybe beat us in this next stretch. I don't see Pittsburgh beating us. Russell Wilson had a terrible game, didn't throw a touchdown. It was like a baseball score for the first 3.5 quarters. I'm not worried about the Ravens. I'm not worried about any of that. I'm not even worried about the Texans, to be honest with you.
yeah, they've sort of fallen off. No, I think Buffalo's the biggest problem. Um, and then I think just because of how good the Steelers defense is, and that Russell Wilson's able to throw the moon ball, I think you got to take them sort of seriously. I can't help myself. Um,
They
then I
have
would
one
put.
great wide receiver.
I I know that defense is so good. Um, I just can't talk about a Russell Wilson team and take them like 100% seriously.
He's still not as good as everybody wants to make him out to
No,
be. He's a situational quarterback.
I
He
was I was.
Yeah, they won by field goals. That's exactly what they did. They won by field goals. That's how they won that game.
I will say this. I really want them to win the division, the Steelers, for
Oh, I
one
do too.
reason. It has nothing to do with, and it has literally just this one reason. Do you know how
I know.
funny it would be if during peak Joe Burrow and peak Lamar Jackson time in the NFL, fucking Russell Wilson won that division?
That'd be hilarious, man. That would be hilarious.
and
And
so,
with way worse
and
numbers.
I am just,
Way worse numbers.
I'm hoping for the chaos that Russell Wilson wins that division for that reason only. It had nothing else. I don't care about the Ravens getting a home game or the Steelers don't care. I want Russell Wilson splitting time with Justin Fields to win that division just for the pure chaos of it.
And God, that will just explode that division. I mean, that's a media frenzy right there. I mean, think about it. Joe Burrow out of the playoffs, Lamar Jackson falling off the cliff, and Russell Wilson, of all people, comes and wins the division. That's fucking hilarious. That's funny shit. That's comic strip shit. Don't care what you say. What else? Anything else?
That's all that I have. Chiefs positives, I guess I would finish on. I don't think there's really anything else that we haven't hit on already.
I will say this about Xavier Worthy. When that kid gets his bearings.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to be good. He's going to be real good.
Be a fucking phenomenal player.
I am already tired of people like complaining that he needs to not take hits because he's too small. He literally played every snap at Texas. In the SEC. He didn't get hurt or miss time at Texas. So can we stop with that already?
Yeah, and not only that, when you're that small, you're nimble. And you can take those hits and bend and bounce off of them fairly easy. It's when you're bigger and you know you're bigger and you're trying to muscle up to that hit is when you get hurt.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to say, fuck it, let him hit me. I'll fly a couple yards, bounce off the ground. I weigh nothing, so I'm probably not going to break anything. Get right back up, keep going. That catch he made in that Buffalo game and took that hit by two different guys and bounced right up like it was nothing, proved everything you need. If anybody has any questions now, they're stupid.
Yeah. Let's see. Positives. My final thing for the show, and we can end it. Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Andy Reid is my head coach.
Yep.
So feeling pretty good.
Steve Spagnuolo is still our defensive coordinator.
Yeah. So if you had any questions about how this team is, and I face the Panthers next week.
Yeah,
so
that's
those
always
are four positives right there.
That's always a good thing. I mean, if anything would boost and another person that is a complete and utter positive for this football team is Drew Tranquill. No matter what, that dude is always pumping everybody up. He's happy. He's excited about these games, man. No matter what it is, he's excited. And I like his attitude. I mean, he is just one of those guys. That was a smart move. I can't believe the Chargers let him go. Unbelievable. But we got a lot to be happy about. We just got a few things that we got to get fixed. That's just the way it is. And that's every year for us. That's not like I think people forget that we had the 27th ranked defense when we won the Super Bowl the first time.
Yeah.
People forget about that. Now we got the 5th ranked defense, and we still got Patrick Mahomes. So I think we're okay.
Yep.
With that being said, we will talk to you guys again on Thursday. Appreciate everybody for joining. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.